Hey everyone, Matt here. Welcome back. Hi, how's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. I'm going to jump into the next part of the first song called Isometric off of Madeon's Adventure album. If you're coming to this video first, you definitely want to watch the first one first because almost everything we're going to talk about here today relates to that. So it'll be out of context and won't make sense. I'm not going to give a whole preface here, but a quick recap. If we looked at it last time, you remember that there were two things that I showed. Number one, the basic chord progression. It was quite dense, lots of movements, lots of changes. I might add one or two things to our understanding of those chords. And then we also looked at the title, Isometric, which basically means in even parts. And I showed how that was, the way I think at least, applied to tempo. And then I showed a quick example using the envelope decay. So what we're going to do today is look at the second part of the big swirling intro of this pretty awesome track called Isometric. Quick recap from last time. If you either didn't understand or missed it and just kind of want to try and pick up on here part two, you're welcome to. The song effectively starts, let me actually move my keys here so you can see that just fine on the screen here. It starts in the key of G major. Or at least the first chord is G major. We're not entirely sure what key it is. And in fact, he doesn't even do the full triad. He just gives you the 1 and 3. A couple of things I usually say, at least in class. I don't know if I've said them in videos. But if you look at any scale, I have a tendency to define certain notes in certain ways and at least break them up into two categories. Category 1 are the scale degrees 1, 4, 5, and then of course the octave. I consider these to be structural, which means they're not necessarily emotive. They're there for strength. But then the 2, the 3, the 6, and the 7 I define as emotional. So with that in mind, if you're doing a major triad, the 5th is structural, it's there for strength. It's not really necessary. So you can get the major sound with just the 1 and the major 3rd, which is how Madeon starts. So he starts G with a major. We discussed the concept of divergent motion. The top note moves up, the bottom note moves down, and so you get this kind of spreading. In addition, he goes from 2 notes. The next chord, F major, he goes to 3 notes. And you can hear we were here, and now we're there. So 1, 1. Second chord, 3 notes, F major, and then the third chord I have as E flat major 7. So we go from 2 notes to 3 notes to 4 notes. We also go from G major to F major, and then E flat major 7, which is here. So in the top notes, you get, with a G in the bass, you get that kind of spreading motion, okay? So a quick add-on to what I did last time, I watched the video again, I kind of threw out some words. I want to dig in a little bit more clearly so that we can set us up for the second half here. If you consider that G major is the first chord and you have no other information, as you guys know, I like to think about these things in modal terms. Not everybody does, that's fine. People disagree with me, that's fine too. This is just my take. If you just have one major chord, all you know is that you have G major. You don't know if you're G major Lydian, sharp 4, until you hear it. You also don't know if you're G mixolydian, flat 7. You don't know that yet. So all you know is G, so you're just going to say major. And then as soon as you hear the F major, from my mind, that immediately puts us in mixolydian, because G major has an F sharp, natural 7, but G mixolydian has an F. So once we hear the F, my brain just goes mixolydian. So I hear major, mixolydian, and then E flat compared to G represents the flat 6 major. It's major 7, and it's flat 6. Because in the key of G minor or G Aeolian, you have 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, and there's your E flat. So I hear this as descending modal motion as well as descending mood information, while there's ascending melodic information. So we start with G major, perhaps Ionian, straight major, mixolydian, Aeolian inverted, which means once you hit that E flat major, he's actually now in the key of G minor. Okay, now from here, I claimed an A minor 7 flat 5, which is this guy, which is the natural 2 diminished or the natural 2, minor 7 flat 5, in G minor. So he's still in the same mode. He was in the major mode, still in the major mode, now in the minor mode, still in the minor mode, still in the minor mode, and this, we talked last time, this kind of implies F dominant, which would fall to a B flat major, which here. So this, to me, is two things. It's either the flat 3 major while still in G minor, but because of that A minor 7 flat 5, that dominant thing, the B flat now feels like a whole new one. So more importantly, or more practical to think of it as, hey, he not only did he change modes from G major to G mixo and then G minor, now we're in the key of B flat major. And then once you're in B flat major here, he uses descending motion in the bass, inverting, to achieve F major 7, which you could think of as the 5 in B flat, which would normally be dominant, but he's in this case playing it as F major 7. Or you can think of that as going right back to the flat 7 mixolydian, which was the second chord in the first place, which is how I'm thinking of it, because then right after he goes into the G again. Now that's the first half recap. From G major through G mixolydian into G minor, staying in G minor. A minor 7 flat 5 is both in G minor and F dominant, setting us up to go to B flat major, perhaps a whole new key. Then to an F inverted, maybe still in B flat major, slightly altered, or perhaps back to mixolydian to go one whole step up high, right back to G major. That's the first half. To refresh our ears, it sounds a bit like this in my remake here. Okay, so what's really interesting here is that little upward flourish at the end, he's kind of growing it, might be a little bit of a clue saying, okay, I'm on this F chord, maybe it's a 5 of B flat, maybe it's a flat 7 of G, who the hell knows, but we're gonna go up because the notes are going up, and you might assume that here's the end of the big phrase, we're gonna go back to G and up a step. To me, in my mind, that says, well, maybe he's thinking F is really just back to where we were, shoot up to G real quick. Now in the second half, what happens is he sort of takes the guts and the structure and changes it, because you don't really just want to copy and paste and repeat. He has the opportunity now, and he takes the opportunity to copy, paste, and vary. And this concept of copy, paste, variation is huge. I mean, you should be doing that throughout your arrangements all the time. Sometimes a copy and paste is in order, but more likely a copy, paste, plus is what's in order. So what we end up here is with this F chord, I believe it's this one. And you can see on the screen, you can hear in your ears, he started here, and it comes right back to here. Okay, so we're back in G major. Now you can assume that from here he's going to do some variation of F and then E flat major 7, perhaps an F, perhaps another A, minor 7 flat 5 acting as an F dominant, then to B flat acting as a new one, and then inverted F major 7 to go back to the 5 or slash flat 7. Maybe he's just going to do it again. No, not doing it again. Doing something different. Similar, but different. So what happens here is he doesn't do all of those crazy dominant minor 7 flat 5. He doesn't go into that territory anymore. He's made that statement. Now I'm gonna kind of simplify things a little bit in a way and prepare to get to the next song. So he's already got you. He's already given you a ton of information. You're like, whoa, this is cool, this is interesting. What the hell is he doing? I'm gonna stick around for a while. So the second half in a way is a bit simpler, in that it just does, well not just, but it kind of hangs out between G major and G minor a little more often. In fact, once he kicks to G minor, he stays there. So the way I have it is now we're returned to G. And what happens here is he goes back to inverting the bass as a way to create a little bit more melodic motion. So from here, okay, so listen again. I'll play this actually first. Man, that's satisfying. So just these first three scenes, just these first three chords are kind of telling you it's similar, but it's different. Okay, so the way I have it, if I just solo the piano here and go back to G major, you can see, and then there's that F major. Gee, we've heard that before, but look what's happening in the left hand. Okay, what's happening in the left hand is, remember, 2 notes in G, 3 notes in F, but you see what my left hand does? It goes down to F. What his left hand does is it goes up to A. So he's inverted the bass to go up to B flat and then down a fifth to E flat to land us back on E flat major 7. So essentially it's the same first 3 chords. G major, F major, E flat major 7. The difference is the bass inverts and moves upwards, whereas before it just went downwards, and it's more, there's more motion. So 2 notes, inverted, 3 notes. Okay, so far it's feeling similar but different because there's more synths, there's more sounds, the kick has been introduced, and things are moving forward, but it's the same 3 chords. So one more time, G, F inverted, and you're not actually seeing, I think, there it is. So the view of the keyboard was truncated. I kind of shifted it over so you can see what's going on down here, the low bass, not over here, but over here you'll find it playing A and then B flat. To go into the next one, so we're still in E flat major 7. Now here, what he did last time was E flat major 7 and then inverted with an F to go back up. Well, we've already done an F inverted. You see how he took that piece that was the 4th move, but now we've already heard it in the 2nd move. So everything's kind of accelerating. Now, what happens here is he, instead of moving up, he chooses to go down. I've already made the up decision. Now I'm going to go down. E flat major 7. The bass walks through D, doesn't actually give you the D chord, just the note as a passing note, and then C minor 7. Okay, so let's hear it. Once again, I'll do it with the piano and then the full thing, and then we'll move on. Chord, and now here at the end of this phrase is the walk down. There's your C minor 7. Where D was a pass-through note, now he's going to actually state it. So let's just zoom out for a moment, because it's kind of a lot of information. Melody, bass, they're moving in opposite directions, okay, in the first half, and then it goes minor 7 flat 5, B flat, F. So kind of the notes are kind of moving around. Now, here in the second one, we have boom. Chord goes down, but melody goes up. Bass walks up with it, inverted, back to E flat, to C, and then up to D, and then right back to E flat, and that's it. The song is going to be delivered to us in the key of G. In fact, the song right after it's going to be delivered to us in the key of G minor, if I'm not mistaken. And there's no better setup for a 1 minor in Aeolian than the flat 6, so it makes a perfect place to end. So one more time, G, then F, then inverted walkthrough, back to E flat. Now we're gonna hit the chord one more time, and now we'll walk down. There's your C. Here's your D. And then E flat. Genius. Now, in full thing, Madeon's Isometric. Let's zoom out for a moment and just take the lessons and move on. Biggest lesson, number one, titles matter. The concept of the concept of the title can either come from the behavior of the song, which is more likely, or the title of the song can inform the behavior of the song. That's number one. Number two, a ton of mode mixing, a ton of key changes. Well, not a ton of key changes, but some key changes, a lot of mode work, and importantly, mostly sequential, meaning from one note to the next mode, 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 to the next mode in the first half, and in the second half, from the first mode to the second, to the third, but then stay here. That's kind of the basic bass motion. So growing the chords, there's even isometric motion in the first three chords. 2 notes, 3 notes, and then 4 notes. Okay. In the second half, it's to take the basic premise, bring it over, and make some changes. So you hear continuity and similarity, but not the same. Right? So here, from this first chord in the first half, he goes down, keeping the bass and the root. However, in the second part, he goes up, inverting, so where and when to invert the bass is always a question. Like I said in the last video, I don't usually recommend you play with inverted bass. At the beginning, stick with having the bass play the fundamental. And then if there are spots where you want to increase some complexity, it's very simple. You can just take the bass from the fundamental, move it to the third. And then for that moment, you have an inverted bass, you have some complexity. Right? That way your writing process doesn't have to think about it from the beginning. You can compose in basic, embellish afterward. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Madeon's Isometric. So I'll see you soon. I got another video actually coming out right after this one where I'm about to do it right now. In fact, I'm going to do a breakdown of a song's called I Still Want to Know by our friend RAC. Really looking forward to that. That's going to take a completely different direction. I'm not going to really deal with chords or melody or harmony or modes or any of that business. We're going to dig into the thing that most of you have been asking me questions about, which is really arranging. So we're going to take a look at a very, in my opinion, simple but deceptively complicated song just from the arrangement perspective. So you can start getting some ideas about when you build these chords and you build these progressions and you create these really interesting spaces, how do you play them out over time? So take a look for that one next. Between now and then, I'll see you around. Again, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of our community here, and thank you for being so kind. I appreciate it, everything. Comments, questions, thoughts, want to book some time with me, go ahead, Pyramind.com. I'm on the Mentorship Network, or just shoot me an email. Be happy to chat with you. Until then, ciao.
If you're a music producer, subscribe to our channel and stay up to date on the latest Pyramind tutorial videos, track breakdowns, elite sessions, and more. Visit us at pyramind.com.